Hey guys, it's Stacy here. Welcome back to my channel. Now today I am finishing up my winter sowing. And if you're new to winter sowing or don't quite know what that is, I do have more videos here on my channel that you can go and check out showing you the process from start to finish. So pretty much winter sowing is a seed starting method using clear plastic containers like these water bottles. You can also use large water jugs and you sow your seeds in them. Place them outdoors during the winter while you're still getting a frost, still getting, maybe snow. And these bottles protect everything, kind of like mini greenhouses. And so those seeds will germinate, grow into seedlings, and then you'll plant those out later into the garden, just like you would if you were growing your seedlings indoors underneath grow lights. Now, one great thing about the winter sowing method, you don't have to worry about the whole hardening off process where you take your seedlings and get them used to the outdoor conditions before planting them out into the garden, because with winter sowing, your seedlings have been outdoors the entire time. So I think that is kind of like a bonus. Now, some things like your tomato and pepper seedlings, maybe a whole lot smaller. Mine were planting them out last year. They're smaller compared to growing them indoors, but they did fine. They took off once I planted them. I got a good harvest. I was happy with it. And so you really just have to try this method to see what works for you. I was still happy because I still got several weeks of growth ahead of time using this method compared to just directly sowing my seeds right into the garden. So for winter sowing, you're going to need your plastic containers. I'm using these water bottles that are the 1 liter size that I've been saving up, have down here in the bag. And then some scissors or utility knives to prep your bottles for planting, make drainage holes, things like that. And you need some strong tape, so like duct tape, Gorilla Tape, whatever you have. You need some seeds, and then your planting label, some type of planting tag to mark what's growing inside your container. Got a water bottle sprayer here, and then some potting mix. Now, any potting mix will work, but I'm using the Miracle-Gro organic potting mix. I try to use organic things in my garden, and so now I have everything that I'm going to need so I can get started. Now first, when I'm getting my bottles ready for planting, I like to remove any labels that may block the light. Pretty easy to do with this bottle. They come off really easily. And then I take a utility knife and poke drainage holes in the bottom. Just like you would, if you're planting something outdoors, your container needs to have drainage holes so that excess water can drain out the bottom. And then next, with a pair of scissors, I cut through the container, just leaving a small portion attached. And so I think it's really easy to just kind of squish down the center of the bottle and then just cut it all the way across. Again, just leaving a small portion to act as a hinge so that the top and the bottom are still together. And guys, if you're liking this video so far, give it a thumbs up. So now I've just added some potting mix to this container here, and I've added some water to moisten the soil really well. And you don't have to have it dripping wet, but I do like to have it pretty moist, and then I can add a few inches of potting mix to each one of the bottles. So now let's take a look at the seeds. So the first one here, really excited. This Roma tomato, never grown it before. But James and I love to eat fresh tomatoes in salads or on a sandwich, and so really excited about that one. Now this next one, a Tiny Tim dwarf tomato. It's so small you can really put it anywhere. I grew this one last year. It did really well, produced a lot for its small size, so excited about growing this one again. And then this one here, an Oxheart tomato. This one is new to me as well. I've never grown this one before, but heard a lot of good things about it. And then next, the California Wonder bell peppers. I just love these. James and I use a lot of bell peppers in our cooking and fresh in salads. And so I always have to have plenty of these in the garden. And then next here, some onions. So these are sweet yellow onions. James and I eat a lot of these, so I want to sow several in these bottles. And also, I may direct sow some out in the garden as well. And then next, this kale, I love it, grow it every year, and so always have to be growing this. And next is these chives, really excited about these. They have beautiful flowers as well, and so I think I might want to plant some of these in my green stock. And then last, the basil. So I grow basil every year, but this year I'm also growing some purple basil, so really excited about that. I just love the smell and look of basil. So these things here, I wanted to start them to get a little head start. Some of them, like the tomatoes and peppers, take a little longer to mature. And so everything else I'm growing in the garden, I'm just going to direct sow. So now for planting. So the first thing that I'm going to plant is some of this purple basil to kind of show you how I do it. And so in this size container, you want to make sure you don't overseed the container. Now, if you need a lot of plants, you probably want to use multiple containers or larger containers. Now, I just plant a little bit more than what I'm going to need just in case a few don't germinate. And so there's no reason to sow like 50 seeds in here. First of all, it's kind of a waste of seeds. Second, I'm not going to need that many seedlings. And third, that would be a pain in the neck to try to thin out or separate out later on. And so it's really not necessary to make it like look like a rug. And so next you want to go ahead and top the seeds with a little bit of potting mix. And the next step is kind of really optional. You can spray the top of your container to kind of water it in, but really I have done without that in the past and everything has been just fine because I've already moistened my potting mix. So you do whatever you think is best, and then I can just make a label and label all of my containers so I know what's growing inside, and then I'll just go ahead and tape the container shut. Now, in the past, I have taped the entire thing all the way around with duct tape, and so I want to try using a little less tape. I've seen it done this way in the past, just making sure to tape it shut with a smaller piece of tape. So I'm going to give that a try, and then once it's done, again, it looks like a little mini greenhouse. You don't want to put any type of lid on the top. It needs to be open so that water can get down inside to water the seeds and the seedlings. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these seeds planted into their bottles, and then I'm going to take these bottles around back to my garden space and put them in a nice safe place. You want them where they're not going to get kicked or blown over by the wind. You want them to stay upright. And you don't want them to be covered or in a shady location. You want them in an open, bright, sunny location so that the sun can get to it, the rain can get to it to water them. And so that's what I'm going to do next. So guys, here they are all lined up in one of my containers. Now, pretty soon I'm going to be getting my containers in this garden ready for planting, and so I hope to share that process with you really soon. Now, I've placed the bottles in a safe spot here. I pushed some soil up against the bottles to hold them upright because you don't want them falling over. They won't be able to get, the water they need from the rain. And if you do notice you don't get a lot of rain, then you may need to come out here, give them a little bit of water. But overall, the process of winter sowing is pretty low maintenance. Now, I usually do start my winter sowing a little sooner. I am a little bit behind. So if you're doing winter sowing, you can definitely start this process, a few weeks earlier, and that would be even better. Now, I did not do as many bottles this year. I think I want to do more direct sowing of my seeds this year. That'll just make it a lot easier on me, and so that's what I plan to do. So guys, I hope you try the winter sowing method. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you don't know when to plant your seeds, I did create a planting guide. It's a PDF printable, and you can find that link down in the video description below, and it will tell you when you need to plant your seeds and transplant your seedlings out into the garden when it's time. And so guys, I hope you watch more of my gardening content here on my channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.